Some childhood memories should stay buried. 10 years ago, 6 friends made a promise at summer camp to never speak of the night Tommy Chen nearly drowned. Now, they've returned to Whispering Pines for one last reunion before going their separate ways forever. But the abandoned camp isn't as empty as they thought. Someone has been waiting in the shadows, counting the years, sharpening the blade. Someone who remembers every cruel laugh, every turn back, every moment they chose silence over helping a drowning boy. The forest remembers. The lake remembers. And tonight, Tommy Chen will make sure they all remember too. In these woods, the past never dies. It just gets hungry. What awaits you? 6 chapters of escalating terror. Childhood friends turn prey. A killer who knows their darkest secrets. No cell service, no escape, no mercy. The kind of slasher horror that made you afraid of summer camp. Some reunions are worth dying for. Others are worth killing for. Welcome back to Whispering Pines. Check out is never guaranteed. Chapter 1. Reunion at Whispering Pines. October's first chill wrapped the pines of northern Vermont in its cold embrace, bending the ancient trees beneath a wind that whispered of endings. Beyond the cracked asphalt, the forest stretched unbroken for miles, its shadows pooling thicker than midnight at dusk. Jess Alvarez gripped the steering wheel of her beat-up Ford Ranger, knuckles white against the worn leather as she steered them down the narrow access road to Whispering Pines summer camp, a place she hadn't set eyes on in 10 years. Beside her, Kyle Foster drummed restless fingers on the dashboard. Feels wrong. Coming back. His voice was low, uneasy. He glanced through the windshield at the looming tree line where trunks stood like silent sentinels. In the back seat, Sarah Lynn bounced her leg nervously, phone balanced between her knees as she filmed the journey live. Camp reunion! #Whisper reunion, she said brightly, though her smile faltered when she caught sight of the decayed wooden archway ahead. It read, in flaking white paint, Whispering Pines Summer Camp, Stayed, 1962. Matt O'Connor, riding shotgun behind Kyle, leaned forward, his forehead creased in nostalgia as he traced the faded letters with his eyes. We didn't really think it'd still be here, did we? He turned to his sister, Lisa, who sat beside him, arms wrapped around her knees. Kids used to love it, he murmured, voice thick with memory. Lisa met his gaze, expression distant. Some of our best summers. Her words hung between them, fragile. Jess exhaled slowly. Let's just set up before dark. The Ranger's tires crunched over fallen leaves as she pulled into the old parking clearing, now half choked by weeds and saplings. The cabins, once neat rows of red-painted chalets, leaned at odd angles under arteries of vines. Roof shingles curled like rotting tongues. A rusted swing set creaked hollowly in the breeze. Every sight reeked of abandonment and something dead. They climbed out, stretching stiff limbs. Jess tucked her auburn hair behind her ears and snapped off her seatbelt. We have 2 days, she reminded them. No phones inside the trees. We promised each other. No distractions. Sarah sighed, blinking away the camera glare. Fine, but tonight's live stream of the campfire goes out unexplained. Kyle set his duffel down with a thud. Let's just get tents up. He strode toward the circle of stones that had once been the main fire pit, now half buried in moss. A wind gust rattled through the trees, carrying a soft thump like distant footsteps. They paused together, eyes sweeping the gloom beyond the tree line. "Animals?" Matt said, but his voice shook. As they unloaded gear, Jess's gaze drifted to the nearest pine, its bark scored with 4 deep gouges, as though a monster's claws had dug in. Curiosity twined with unease. She stepped closer. The furrows were fresh, the sap still oozing. She reached out a hand, fingers brushing damp wood. A shiver traced her spine.
"They weren't here last night,"
she said quietly. Kyle joined her, arms crossed. "Probably a bear. We're way out in the boonies." Jess withdrew her hand. "Or someone, or something big." Lisa knelt, tracing the gouges with a careful fingertip. "Why would a bear?" Sarah's phone crackled as she captured them. "Let's just be careful here." Their uneasy banter was cut short by Matt's voice. "Guys, look!" He pointed toward the lake path, a narrow trail snaking through the underbrush. At its entrance, half buried in fallen leaves, lay a single blue flip-flop, smeared with mud. The sole bore the imprint of a slender foot, too small for any of them. Silence fell. "That's..." Matt began, voice brittle. Sarah swallowed. "That looks... new." The sun dipped lower, flaring gold through the branches. Shadows stretched their fingers across the camp, turning everything silver and gray. "Okay," Jess said, setting her jaw. "First light, we check that trail. For now, tents." They worked swiftly, pitching 3 tents around the fire pit. Once secure, they unloaded supplies. Sleeping bags, lanterns, the cooler full of beer and snacks. Night fell in a sudden hush. Even the crickets went silent. At last, they gathered around the stones. Kyle struck a match. The flame faltered before the wind. Finally, the camp stove lit, orange tongues licking at kindling. The 4 of them sat in a hesitant semicircle. Sarah adjusted her phone, framing them.
"Welcome to Whispering Pines Camp Reunion,"
she announced, trying for warmth in her tone.
"We're live. No idea what we'll find, but stick with us."
A handful of early viewers dropped comments. "So creepy. Been watching your streams forever. Don't go down the lake path." Jess forced a chuckle.
"Calm down, guys. It's just camp.
She raised her can.
2 old friends."
They clinked together. The first swallow of cold beer eased the tension. Warmth seeped back into their limbs. Laughter trickled out, tentative but welcome. Yet beyond the glow, the woods watched. An owl hooted. Somewhere a branch snapped. Too deliberate, too close. The 4 froze, eyes flicking to the darkness. Kyle set down his beer. "All right, that's enough of that. Who's up for marshmallows?"
"Sure,"
Lisa said, her voice barely above a whisper. They toasted marshmallows in uneasy silence, turning the sticks with careful, trembling hands. The flip-flop and the claw marks weighed on their minds, but they pushed them aside in favor of nostalgia. Campfire songs, memories of skinny-dipping races, the time they got lost and someone thought they heard voices calling from the trees. As laughter grew louder, Sarah caught sight of movement behind the trees. An inhuman figure darting between trunks, pale welding mask gleaming in the firelight. She gasped, dropping her phone. The screen cracked against a stone, the live feed flickering.
"Sarah?
Jess called.
Did you see that?"
Sarah rose, pointing. Kyle peered into the dark. "See what?"
"Boat? Nothing."
Sarah snapped, though her voice shook.
"I must have imagined it."
Jess's heart thudded. She scanned the tree line. The forest was still, as if holding its breath. Then the fire flared, shadows dancing across empty trunks. Matt touched her arm. Let's get some sleep. They withdrew to their tents under the thick canopy, tossing marshmallows onto hot coals. The wind sighed through needles. The forest seemed to lean in. In the darkness, Jess lay awake, listening to the rasp of wind and the soft whistle of her own breathing. She thought of the gouges and the flip-flop and the mask. She thought of the scream, waiting to be unleashed. Associations. In the silent heart of Whispering Pines. Chapter 2. Blood Among the Pines. The first light of dawn broke pale and hesitant through the canopy, casting an ashen glow over Whispering Pines. Jess woke to a stillness so profound, it felt like the world itself was holding its breath. She unzipped her tent and peered out. Kyle and Matt were nowhere to be seen. The camp circle lay empty, the embers of last night's fire cold and gray. Jess's heart thudded. She slipped into her boots and grabbed her flashlight. "Kyle? Matt?" she called, voice wavering. Only the forest answered, its towering pines swaying without a sound. She found Lisa at the edge of the mess hall, clutching her coffee cup like a lifeline. Sarah stood nearby, phone in hand, face pale. "They went to check the lake trail," Sarah whispered. "They said they'd be right back." Jess frowned. "Sun's up. We need to find them." They sprinted toward the narrow path leading to the lake, brambles clawing at their legs, mist curling around tree trunks. As they cleared the last sapling, the ground opened to reveal the camp's small fishing pier, rotting and half-sunken. But Matt and Kyle were gone. Instead, Jess discovered Kyle's duffel bag, torn and discarded among reeds. She knelt, heart pounding, unzipping it to find blood-soaked hiking boots twisted inside. Lisa gasped. "Oh, God!" A shriek jolted them upright, Sarah's phone feed littered with frantic notifications. She fumbled with the camera, hands shaking. "They're gone! Someone's watching us!" Jess shone her light onto the mud at the water's edge. Footprints, 2 sets, led away into the mist. One large, uneven, the other smaller, deliberate. They vanished into the undergrowth. "This way," Jess said, voice steely. She followed the tracks, Lisa and Sarah close behind, fear and resolve mingling in her chest. Every snapped twig snapped their nerves tighter. Contracted 10 breathless minutes, the footprints stopped at a bloodied splash mark on a mossy boulder. Matt's baseball cap lay nearby, its brim dipped in crimson. Sarah dropped to her knees, sobbing. "We can't stay here. We have to leave." Just 6 shook her head. "No service, and the road's at least 2 miles back. We stick together, find shelter." They stumbled back to camp in a daze, hearts pounding. Jess barricaded the cabin's door with a fallen log, while Sarah's stream lit up with concerned comments. "Where are you? Call 911! Run!" Inside, Lisa backed against a wall. "We should have never come back." Jess clenched her fists. "It's not the camp. It's him." Leave from her pack the old camp map, marked with summer memories and one tragic X where Tommy Chen nearly drowned. She traced the lines with her finger, lips tightening as realization dawned. "He's using our past against us." "Makes sense," Lisa whispered. "Check this out." She pointed to scratches etched along the cabin's interior wall, 4 claw-like slashes forming letters. "Remember Tommy." Sarah gasped. "That was his name!" Jess's breath caught. "We forgot him. We let him drown." A sudden crash from outside made them jump. The cabin windows rattled as something heavy struck the walls, again and again. The wind howled, but this was different, a deliberate pounding, as if a giant fist pounded wood from the other side. Stay back, Jess hissed, grabbing a rusted fireplace poker. Through the window, she saw a figure in tattered camp overalls, a welding mask smeared with mud and grime, carrying a curved hook dripping dark fluid. His presence absorbed light, exuding menace. He pounded once more, then recoiled, stepping back into shadow. Jess braced, chest hammering. He's testing us. Lisa's eyes brimmed with tears. We should run. Now. Jess shook her head. No. He wants us scattered. We stay together, we find Kyle and Matt, or at least what's left of them. A low metallic scrape slid along the cabin's exterior, Hook dragged across siding. The sound grated against their nerves, promising pain and death. Sarah fumbled her phone, whispering into it, "He's here. Please help." But the screen stayed blank. The killer's presence pulsed just beyond the walls. They were trapped, and the darkness was alive with his hunger. Chapter 3. Secrets Beneath the Surface. Dawn brought no comfort to Whispering Pines. The gray light seeped through the canopy, revealing a camp steeped in decay and drenched in dread. Inside the makeshift shelter of the old arts and crafts cabin, its once cheerful murals faded and cracked. Jess, Sarah, and Lisa huddled together, weapons of opportunity clutched in shaking hands. A fireplace poker, a broken chair leg, and Sarah's phone. "Why him?" Lisa whispered, voice hoarse. "Why Tommy?" Jess paced, mind spinning. "Because we left him. We thought he'd be fine. A kid could swim. We never checked. We walked away." Sarah wiped tears from her cheeks. I thought someone else would help." Silence stretched between them like a noose. Only the forest spoke back, wind sighing through branches, the distant echo of a metallic scrape. Suddenly, Lisa's foot struck something hard beneath the rubble, a soaked journal bound in cracked vinyl. She picked it up, opening to the first entry, August 14th, 2015, Camp Whispering Pines. "They all laughed when I fell. I thought they'd help me. No one did." Her hand trembled. "He's been writing about us, about that day." Jess grabbed the journal, skimming soaked pages. Each entry seethed with bitterness and bitterness grown into rage. Judging by dates, he documented them for years, long after everyone forgot him. Sarah swallowed. But how did he get the mask? The hook? Jess traced her finger over another passage. September 2nd, 2020. "Found Grandpa's mask in the barn. Found Dad's hook in the garage. They'll remember me now." Realization hit. The killer wasn't just fueled by a childhood accident, but by calculated planning, steeped in grief and twisted justice. A low groan rattled the cabin walls. Something heavy scraped across the exterior, like metal clasping tender flesh. They froze. "He knows we found the journal," Jess murmured. "He's coming. We have to move." They slipped out the back, pressing against the damp logs as the killer's hook scraped at the front door. Their breaths billowed in the cold air. Where to? Sarah asked, voice cracking. Jess pointed to the dock trail. "To the lake. We saw those footprints there. We might find Kyle. Or Matt?" Lisa hesitated. "What if he's lying in wait? We have no choice." Their movement was cautious, hearts hammering with each footstep. The forest closed in, branches clawing at clothing. At the edge of the lake, swirling mist drifted over black water. There, half submerged, lay Kyle's body, face down, clothes soaked and torn. A thick rope coiled around his ankle, binding him to an old anchor set in the mud. Sarah screamed. Jess knelt, pressing a trembling hand to the rope. "He's teaching us." From the tree line came a soft whisper. "Remember me?" They spun as one. The masked figure stepped from shadow. Welding mask streaked with rust, overalls dark with gore. Hook glinted in pale light. Lisa raised the poker. "Stay back!" He tilted his head, voice dry as rusted iron. "You forgot me." I won't forget you." He lunged, and the world snapped into chaos. Screams, the sickening crush of bone on metal, the water churning red. Jess shoved Sarah backward. "Run!" They fled into the forest, the ground slick with blood and fear. Branches tore at their faces as the killer's laughter, wet and cruel, echoed behind them. Exhausted, they broke through the trees onto the old camp road, heartbeats pounding. But escape was an illusion. The canopy swallowed the sky. They had unearthed their past, and the forest demanded its due. Chapter 4: The Hunter Revealed. Nightfall descended like a heavy shroud over whispering pines, swallowing the forest in ink-black darkness. Jess and Sarah stumbled away from the lake, Lisa trailing, all three coated in mud and dripping blood. Their breaths came in ragged gasps, echoing with shock and grief for Kyle's death. But there was no time to mourn. They'd reached the clearing where the old No, Jess corrected herself internally. Director's cabin stood ramshackle and half collapsed. Moonlight spilled through holes in the roof, illuminating a makeshift shrine of photographs and newspaper clippings. Pictures of smiling children at camp, faded headlines about Tommy Chen's miraculous recovery, and a dozen Polaroids of the 6 friends, Jess, Kyle, Matt, Lisa, Sarah, taken without their knowledge. Sarah whimpered, "He's been watching us this whole time." Jess's stomach clenched. "He's been planning this." She moved to examine the director's desk, her flashlight beam revealing a cracked porcelain doll's head. Tommy's first victim, the year he nearly drowned. On the desk lay an open ledger, pages listing names and dates. Every year, 6 names. Every summer, 6 visitors. Their names were the last entries. This isn't just revenge, Jess realized aloud. It's a ritual. He reenacts the accident, but each year, he hunts one more. A muffled scuffle drew their attention to a side room. Heart pounding, Jess edged forward, poker at the ready. Pushing aside the tattered curtain, she found Matt's body, eyes frozen in terror, mouth open in a silent scream. His chest bore fresh claw marks, identical to the gouges on the pines. Sarah gasped, covering her mouth. He's become like them." Jess knelt, grief and rage twisting her gut. "Whoever he was, he's not just our friend gone mad. He's become something else, something inhuman." A scraping noise behind them made them whirl. The door to the cabin's interior creaked open. The masked figure stood framed in moonlight, the hook resting on his shoulder. "Jessica Manning," he rasped, voice echoing with malice. "You forgot me. I won't forget you." Jess rose, poker held defensively. "Tommy," she whispered, hope and horror warring in her eyes. He removed the welding mask. His face was pallid and twisted, skin stitched in uneven seams, eyes milky and rimmed with red. A cruel grin split the flesh across his cheeks. "No," Sarah breathed, stumbling back. Tommy's grin widened. "I'm beyond pity now." He raised the hook, its blade gleaming. Jess lunged forward, poker swinging, but he was faster, hook raking her arm, a searing pain exploding up her body. She screamed, dropping the poker as blood welled. Sarah screamed too, lunging at Tommy with a broken chair leg. He sidestepped, catching her across the ribs, snapping bone with a hollow crack. She collapsed, gasping. Tommy turned back to Jess, hook poised. "You created me," he whispered. "Now, I end you." In a burst of adrenaline, Jess seized the poker from the floor, pressing it against his thigh. He hissed, raising an arm, and she swung again, metal connecting with flesh. He staggered, but only for a second. Then he advanced, relentless. Jess retreated toward the broken window. Sarah crawled beside her, clutching a bloodied phone. "Jess, run!" Through the glass, they spied headlights carving through the trees, an old sheriff's cruiser, lights flashing. Jess hesitated, hope blossoming. Tommy lunged. Jess dove through the window, glass cutting her arms. She tumbled onto the mossy ground, Sarah following. Behind them, the cabin exploded in flames as the lantern inside overturned. They scrambled to their feet as the sheriff, Deputy Anderson, stepped out, shotgun aimed. "Get back!" he ordered. Before Tommy could pursue, Anderson fired a blast that ripped through the night. A muffled scream, a splatter of blood, and then silence. Jess collapsed against Sarah, sobbing. "He's gone." Anderson approached as dawn's first gray light seeped through the trees. "Let's get you out of here," he said, voice somber. Jess glanced back at the burning cabin, her heart heavy with loss, but burning brighter with survival's ember. She realized the horror of Whispering Pines was not behind them. It lingered in her blood and bone, forever marking her as witness to the killer's truth. Chapter 5. Blood Moon Rising. The forest stood silent in the dying embers of night, bathed in the sickly red glow of a rising blood moon. Its pale light filtered through skeletal branches, casting elongated shadows that writhed across the mossy ground. In that otherworldly half-light, every rustle sounded like a whisper, every breeze a soft lamentation for the lost. Jess bolted upright in the back of the deputy's cruiser, heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. Sarah sat beside her, eyes hollow, arms wrapped tightly around herself. Deputy Anderson drove with a grim focus, eyes flicking to the rearview mirror where distant flames still licked the charred remains of the director's cabin. "They'll be here soon," he murmured, more to himself than to them. Jess pressed a hand to her arm where Tommy's hook had slashed a ragged wound. It burned now, a living brand, but she didn't dare think about it. Not when the forest beyond held more horrors than they'd seen. "It's not over, is it?" she whispered, voice brittle. Anderson's gaze hardened. "The night's not done with us." He pulled the cruiser off the dirt road, tires crunching over debris as he stopped at an overlook where the old campfire circle lay below, half drowned in moonlight and ash. "Look," he pointed to the ruins. In the center where the stones once circled a lively blaze, now stood a single unburned log, its twisted form painted with fresh crimson. Surrounding it, carved into the earth, were symbols, each a child's handprint, pressed in blood. Sarah leaned forward, horrified. Our handprints," Jess swallowed. "He did this, for each year since." She snapped her fingers twice. 2015, 2016, 2025. 9 prints. Her voice trailed off. "He's been doing this every year." Anderson's face was a storm of regret. He started when he turned 10. He thought this would help him remember, make the world remember him. Jess's blood ran cold. He never stopped. A sudden howl split the air, half human, half animal, and the cruiser's headlights swung toward the noise. A shape sprinted across the clearing, a lean, feral figure limed in scarlet moonlight, mask gleaming, overalls soaked in mud and dried paint of past crimes. The hook glittered at his side like a grotesque scythe. Anderson cursed, stepping from the cruiser. "Stay here!" Jess pushed open her door. "No!" He slapped her arm gently but firmly. "You're hurt. You need medical attention." Jess shook her head, eyes blazing. "Not without him." A fresh scream tore through the night air, distant but urgent. Sarah bolted from the cruiser, but Anderson caught her as she did. "Jess!" he called. "They'll get you!" Jess sprinted toward the scream, adrenaline scorching through her limbs. Branches lashed her face, roots threatened to claim her ankles. But she ran, driven by guilt and fury in equal measure. The world narrowed to one purpose: find him. The trail led to the edge of the old archery range, long abandoned, its targets faded and splintered. There, beneath a target ringed by blackened arrows, lay Lisa's form, chest still rising and falling, face pale and eyes wide with fear. She wore no mask. Her mouth was open, as if to scream that she'd been attacked and left to drown. Jess dropped to her knees. "Lisa!" Lisa's hand fluttered, reaching for Jess. "He won't stop." A harsh rasp sounded behind them. Jess spun, raising the fireplace poker like a sword. The forest gave up Tommy's silhouette, tall, gaunt, more shadow than flesh. He lifted his head, eyes glowing under the blood moon's light. "You came back," he whispered, voice a rasp of wind through dead leaves. "You all came back." Lisa's gasp squeezed from her lips as she tried to rise. Jess slipped an arm behind her. "Run," she urged. Lisa stumbled forward, alarmed. Sarah appeared beside her, face streaked with tears and mud. Together they stumbled away as Jess squared off with the hunter. The force swallowed the world around them until only Jess and Tommy remained. He advanced with preternatural calm, hook slicing air. Jess steadied her breath, wincing as her wound throbbed. She met his gaze. "This ends tonight." He grinned, an ugly rip of flesh. "It never ends." Their dance of terror began beneath a blood moon. Jess parried hook strikes with the poker, sparks flying whenever metal met metal. Each clash rang like a death knell in the silent forest. He moved with uncanny speed, his strength unrelenting. Her arms burned, her resolve wavered. Then, with a roar of defiance, Jess feigned left and drove the poker up under his chin. He staggered, mask tilting, revealing pale teeth. Jess seized her chance, kicking him back against a target post, wood splintering beneath the force. He slumped, hand dropping the hook. Jess dove for the weapon, gripping it with both hands. He lunged, but she spun, swing arcing through moonlight and severing the post that anchored him to the target. The bone-crunching sound echoed. He toppled backwards, slamming into the ground. Silence fell once more, heavy, absolute. Jess stood panting, chest heaving, phone and poker slick in her hands. Above them, the blood moon pulsed, as if marking her victory. But victory tasted bitter. Lisa stumbled back to her, Sarah trailing, tears mixing with moonlit sweat. Lisa began, but collapsed against Jess, shaking. Sarah dropped to her knees, clutching Jess's leg. "You did it!" Jess stared at Tommy's prone form, stained mask half buried in mud, maskless face contorted. The emmer of rage in his eyes had died out, only emptiness remained. She raised the hook, stepping forward. Her reflection in the blade was pale and determined. She could end this, here, beneath the blood moon, beneath the trees that witnessed childhood laughter turn to screams. But something lodged in her throat. Mercy, perhaps, an echo of the child who'd once played beside her. Slowly, she let the hook slip from her fingers, the metal clattering to the ground. And as the first light of dawn bled over the horizon, painting the world in gray and gold, Jess realized that mercy and vengeance walked a razor's edge, and sometimes, sparing a broken soul cost more than drawing a blade. Chapter 6. Last Breath at Dawn. The first pale fingers of dawn crept through the pines, turning the forest from a bleeding red to a washed-out gray. The night's horrors receded into shadows, but their weight lingered in every splintered branch and blood-soaked leaf. Jess stood at the edge of the archery range, two silhouettes, Sarah and Lisa, huddled at her side. Between them lay the motionless form of Tommy Chen, mask abandoned in the mud. Jess inhaled tremulously, muscles quivering with exhaustion and relief. She had chosen mercy over vengeance, sparing the hollow shell of the boy they once knew. Now she wondered if that mercy had been a mistake. Sarah wiped her eyes on her sleeve. "He's gone. Now, right?" Jess shook her head, voice soft. "I don't think I can kill him. Not the way he was someone once." Lisa touched Jess's arm. "We need help. We can't stay here." A low rumble drifted through the trees. A sheriff's cruiser, newly arrived, its lights cutting swaths through the gloom. Deputy Anderson emerged, shotgun slung, face tight with concern. Behind him, 2 patrol officers fanned out, radio crackling. "Is he down?" Anderson called as he approached. Jess nodded. "He should be." She pointed to Tommy's body. We stopped him." Anderson approached warily, shotgun trained on the prone figure. He knelt, lifted the mask, then pressed a hand to the boy's neck. No pulse. He released the wound-chapped mask and rose, shouldering the shotgun. "He's dead." A collective shudder passed through the trio. Relief and sorrow mingled in the crisp air. One officer called softly into his radio. "Suspect confirmed deceased. Send medical and coroner." Jess exhaled, shoulders sagging. "Thank God." Anderson met her gaze. "I'm sorry for what you've been through." Lisa spoke up, voice tentative. "Why did you come back?" Anderson's eyes flicked to the carnage, bodies of friends and survivors littering the clearing. "I've been investigating missing persons cases around here for years. Every few years, someone vanishes near the old camp. I always thought they got lost or ran away, but I never found a body. I never pieced together the pattern. Until now." He knelt beside Tawny's mask. "His parents died after that summer. He was sent to live with my sister in Vermont and then fostered by us. He was good as a child, quiet, kind. The accident destroyed him. I failed him." He looked at Jess with haunted regret. "I thought rescuing you would bring closure." Jess let the words settle. "It brought everything back." Sarah pressed a hand to Jess's back. "We're alive. You saved us." Anderson sighed. "I'm just glad you're safe." He turned to the officers. "Let's secure the scene. I want a perimeter. Nobody in or out until the coroner arrives." As the officers moved to cordon off the area, Jess knelt and picked up the journal, now ruined by blood and mud. She closed it gently and tucked it into her jacket. "He kept it all here," she murmured. Lisa slipped beside her. Do we burn it?" Jess considered. Beneath the horrors lay a boy's broken heart. "No, we keep it, so we never forget." Sarah nodded. "And so the world knows what happened." The sun rose higher, spilling warm light through the skeletal trees. In that brightness, the clearing looked less like a stage for terror and more like the aftermath of a terrible storm. Anderson approached, offering Jess a hand. "Come on, let's get you out." Jess stood, brushing leaves from her legs. She cast one last look at the pines, witnesses to both childhood laughter and adult nightmares. She turned and walked toward the cruiser, Sarah and Lisa at her heels. Behind them, the forest exhaled, its secrets laid bare in blood and memory. As they drove away, the pines receded into the distance, but their whispers trailed behind, echoes of a past that could not be forgotten, and a warning that no camp, no reunion would ever be the same again.